Hello everyone and welcome back to the DreamHack Open. As you can see, we are live from London, England, the birthplace of civilization, I would say.
Would you say that?
I think the Greeks
go
that far. Probably something to say about that, Richard, but, but they're in debt, so they don't get to say that anymore. So.
Yeah, so there you are, mate. So,
London, home of the brave, outrageous and free, as the great Morrissey said.
Yeah, it's true, actually.
That is true. Well done. Like he's trying to be nice to you today.
He actually even said, like, you know, you're incredibly repressed, but remarkably dressed, like.
That is the Henry G story in a nutshell, and he's allergic to eggs. Yeah. So anyway, we're going to get into it.
I wasn't looking forward to this, but here I am. Buckle up, it's going to be a battle.
I like having this buffer.
He's allergic to what?
You know, just eat him.
Eggs.
It's all good.
Don't worry, we'll come up with some material about his allergies later. Anyway, I'm Richard Lewis. I'm your host.
Personal information.
This is
out of order.
on my left.
God, it's
and now
chaos.
we have got the guys who are casting the first series to come onto the analysis desk and give us thoughts about the next series that's coming in. It is, of course, one half of the Premier CSGO casting duo. It is Semler over there on the edge, and you can see, of course, in the middle.
Yeah. He's always on the edge, mate.
He's always on the edge, especially when ESL events.
Listen, guys, I know it's really quite stressful casting sometimes, so if you get a talk, if you feel like, you know, your head's a bit cloudy, just sit over there, pop your glasses up, Sam, and just stare out the wall. Don't even look at the game, mate. It's not important when you're analysing games. Just read the score at the end. Look at the HLT, you got the score box.
I mean,
it's all about stats. And next to him
for the longest time,
is
that's how it goes, right?
The leading UK CS personality. I'm trying to introduce you.
That tells the whole story.
Just say hello.
Hi.
There we go. Brilliant. Great to have you here, Henry. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to quickly catch up with the bracket so we can show you what's been going on and frame the earlier game in context. You can see there it was TSM coming over Team Dignitas 2-0. Doesn't really tell the full story. The overpass map was a 16-14 epic. I personally think the best map of the tournament so far, but Dignitas giving up their map Mirage without so much as a fight, really. Problems for Dignitas, not so much for TSM, who are in the grand final. Now we move into the other semi-final. It's going to be EnVyUs against a surprise package yesterday, Copenhagen Wolves. They managed to beat Gamers 2 to be here, something nobody saw coming with this new lineup. And while Twist was maybe lackluster in the first game, let's talk about how imperious he was against Gamers 2. I know you actually casted that game, Henry, so I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, so like you said, a result we didn't expect whatsoever. It was Twist stepping up as well, Jackham as well. A player I haven't really seen too much of on that overpass game. He really did step up, facing towards those monster tunnels, seemed to like get 2 or 3 frags almost every time he had players in front of him, and locking G2 out of it. It was a really impressive performance, and I think we all wrote them off before going into that game, right? So amazing to see them going into this next series, but going up against EnVyUs, I think the fairy tale may be coming to an end, but let's hope it's a competitive game at least.
Well, it's good to mention Jacob because that was the long-term investment made by LGB at the beginning of the year when they first brought him in. He didn't have any LAN experience, but he had crazy aim, and that was the main thing, like one of the best aimers in Norway. And so they brought him onto the team hoping that they would be able to get him the experience to start making those smart decisions versus top teams and really put that aim to good use. Now, when they play, we see him topping that scoreboard, and in big ways as well. Sometimes he makes questionable decisions. We saw a few moments where he would decide to push when it wasn't necessary, perhaps, or just odd little calls like that. But as far as the aim is concerned, he's doing his job. He's topping the scoreboard every time. And
Rubinho caught my eye as well a little bit. He was picking up the AWP at various moments and having,
Well, that's because they don't have a solution for the AWP, right?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, but I mean, I thought he did. I wouldn't say he was massively impactful, but I thought he had his moments.
His defensive warping was very good, I thought. On the CT side, he was able to find frags, especially on the map. I forget they're playing on Cobble, especially. He was very good, holding back on the A site and picking up 1 or 2 frags there. So he was pretty impressive there. But they're a pretty nice package overall. I think they are lacking in terms of tactics. It seems like some maps like Mirage were very drilled on. They had some really great executes. Cobble, not so much. In the interviews, Ender said, Zervez, said that he was actually planning on surprising the CT side by doing with so many fast rushes and stuff. To me, it seemed like they were just more a bit chaotic. They were just trying to get into the bomb sites and force the issue with the AKs. But who knows? Maybe that was the approach they were going for. That was part of the plan.
And Duncan, your thoughts about Copenhagen Wolves? Obviously, that game against SK, I think everybody on the desk kind of said, SK, you're going to win this. It was really close, and then in, dare I say, controversial circumstances, we had a moment with a crash, really flipped the game on its head, and then after that, Copenhagen Wolves seemed to kind of run with it against Gamers 2. It was almost like, hey, we should probably already be out, and here we are. So, I mean, what did you make of it?
The thing is, the fact that they had such a close game with SK, which was kind of unconvincing on both sides, is what makes me think that this isn't going to be like a miracle today. This wasn't like they had this crazy performance and it's just a new team that we don't expect from. I feel like actually Gamers 2 let themselves down a bit in that match and they let them have a chance to win. It could have still gone both ways, but it's more the underperformance from Gamers 2 in that sense. So Copenhagen Wolves, they took advantage of that. Great job so far. They've gotten to the top 4 already. I don't think they're going to be going further. Their performance didn't hint at anything more, I don't think.
And of course, they're going up against EnVyUs. Now, EnVyUs, they just burst out the traps like a greyhound against your team.
Yeah, looking
Easy Skins.
unbelievably sharp.
Yeah, unbelievably sharp. Let's be real about it. And they did run over Easy Skins like a truck. It was 16.
We knew that was coming, though.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, but still, it's one thing.
One of us knew that was coming.
Yeah. All right, Sam. We'll come to you in a second. But I mean, you saw firsthand exactly what they were capable of doing, and maybe while we didn't give Easy Skins a lot of credit, and we said it was just going to be an easy game for EnVyUs, I mean, they respected Easy Skins. They looked like they were going to do a job. It was only really the last 2 rounds where they were trying to get Zeus kills that really
the whole thing
implied
is
they underestimated.
They were never really tested in terms of the skill, right? They didn't have to worry too much. As long as they kept in that 4-man pack, which are so famous for doing right now, we have one player holding the banana for any flanks, those guys up, Kirishima, MBK, straight up middle, and Easy Skins couldn't contain them. It was such a difficult prospect. And Kenny S as well, putting off some ridiculous clutches in the all play there. That's kind of vintage Kenny S, and he's kind of bringing that back now. It's really exciting to see.
You have a funny definition of respect, Richard, if that's how you treat people you respect.
No, you know what I mean.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay.
Respect in the terms that they...
It's kind of like how we respect the guys who run the production here. They're really great guys.
Oh, they are.
We just keep them on their toes.
We do. Don't do that. We're going to end up like Sadakis now, where my glass is going to be bouncing up and down my fat head. Anyway, so let's talk about... Not that he has a fat head. Sadakis' head's lovely.
No, he never heard that.
Exactly. He didn't.
Sadakis gives great head.
So
I mean, has a great... Oh, I've only got... my English isn't my first language, guys.
Yeah.
And then EnVyUs went on to play Team Dignitas, of course. And actually, we thought, okay, maybe this might be, a bit more competitive. But in reality, they kind of blew Dignitas out the water as well, Semler.
Sorry, what were you saying? I was too busy watching Sadokis' reaction where he was just staring off in the distance, realizing, yes.
Just saying how impressive EnVyUs were against Team Dignitas as well. It wasn't that.
Well, okay, coming into it, both, as far as the first day is concerned, first seeds are concerned, it pretty much went according to plan. And there were no snafus, there was no slow start for either team. They kind of just came in, did business, went home. It was that easy. Envy never looked challenged, they never looked stressed. They completely mopped the floor with Dignitas afterwards as well. It was almost the same level of destruction that we saw versus Easy Skins. So coming into this, I think that, they're just supremely confident. When they left after that second match, you're just like, well, okay, then I guess we'll just go out, get some food. And
we'll get into the... Sorry.
You realize what we need to do now. We need someone to combine those segments together. Get me saying that part about Sadokis there, then right after it, go into the little clip where he's just staring off and he did not deserve correct.
Just play some sad music over the top of it.
He's just looking away, contemplating his life, the wreckage that it is.
We've got the veto pending. So before we get into the minutiae of what the maps might mean, let's talk about the fact that EnVyUs, they came in, they were the first game, they wrecked Easy Skins, that was nice and easy, virtually no table time.
Can I just clarify again, they wrecked EasySkins.com.
Yeah, sorry, .com.
Yeah, that's a very important fact, actually.
Yeah, and then they wrecked Dignitas, so they were out early, and they're the second game today. So the amount of time they've had to relax and chill, maybe even do some demo reviews, but now that they were probably preparing for TSM anyway, I mean, that's going to give them a big edge here. They should be really, really fresh, right?
Well, that's kind of what's painful for TSM, the fact that they had to go first, and they actually had to show one of their stronger maps. I mean, they've seen now Mirage, Overpass, we already saw them on the map, so there was information to get from that map in particular, but now we've seen how they've changed on Mirage, their CT side. So we've already seen that they've literally changed positions for players, and the approach that they have on their CT side of Mirage, which we know is a map that they've been struggling on, and said themselves, we actually have to figure out a new attack for this. We have to figure out a new approach because we've been figured out. They know that Kerrigan wants to go mid every round. They know that this is how we want to handle it. That's all changed. And so Envy were actually just sitting over in the Twitch channels like, watching everything unfold and saying, okay, right, so if we play Mirage, now we know exactly what they're going to try and do against us, and they're going to have to try and change up again, which could be awkward for them, so we'll get them in a weakened state. It really hurts I think it hurts that TSM actually had to go first today, just because that's a lot of info for Envy, who I think are going into a best of 3 that really isn't going to test them much. They're going to be ready, full energy to just go into this final and start hammering TSM.
And that's been a problem with them in the past, having that energy, the early starts and stuff, and now I just think this is optimal for them.
Now they're perfectly fine. They're a team that's practicing again, they're a team that's well rested, that's just ready to go into all these tournaments and own.
This seems like another perfect warm-up for EnVyUs going into this. We saw it on the first day, Easy Skins seemed like a nice way to get their aims warmed up. I think this is another perfect example of that. A team they shouldn't struggle with, they should wipe the floor with Copenhagen Wolves, to be fair.
Just while I've got you here, Henry, one thing we were talking about yesterday was, of course, we've had this new update from Valve, significant changes to some of the major guns in the game, as well as the hitboxes. We did talk now that the sort of jumping hitbox had been sort of rectified. That takes away something from EnVyUs because MBK abuses that jump scout. But what I wanted to ask you as a former pro is about these rifle alterations and how you think it might impact on EnVyUs' game.
I think it's interesting. The fact that Valve are trying to balance the rifles, and it's actually just turned it like they normally do. It just turns it from one extreme to the other, right? Now everyone's using M4A4s. There's now about 10% of players still even trying to use the M4A4 A1S, and I think it does impact. You do have to reevaluate your strategies. Like obviously on the CT side, you can't spam through smoke so much anymore. Obviously the trace is going through, and it makes things very difficult. For example, if you are very used to using that, and actually maps like Inferno, for example, you have to kind of change your setups, work out how you're going to approach sort of situations. Jumping Scout is definitely a factor as well. I don't think we've seen it actually be bought too much at this event. We haven't seen the jumping style being too prevalent.
Well, I don't really think we've had the maps. It played quite so much.
We haven't had it with Cash. We have had Mirage. It's normally a jump scout special. We haven't seen it being punished.
We haven't had a train either, have we? Which I know
we have not had a train.
We haven't had a train.
If that had gone to a third map, we would have had our first train.
So we haven't had a train or a Cash. Well, you would expect to see jump scout maybe come into play a little bit.
Yeah, the M4 update for me, it's interesting. I haven't had a chance to play with it myself, so I can't really comment too much.
I played with
yet,
it, and the damn thing is like a new gun. Or at least it feels just like really off. Like you have the firing rate of the AK.
That it always had a good spray with the A1.
Now they've tightened up that spray.
But because it was so fast, it's like you just had to get it on them and you knew they'd be dead really quickly. It's so slow in comparison to the speed of the actual spray. Yeah, so it feels like that's why you have to use it totally differently. It's not just like get it onto them really quick range.
It feels like you're taking these like long range duels again, where we're thinking, okay, well, this is like Scream with the AK, and well, it was like the M4A1. This could be his kind of gun, right? Because it's just like tap 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 tap. It'll benefit the players with the strong aim and who want to take those long-range battles, who hold those kinds of positions. Whether it breaks down that way or not, I think it's just a matter of, okay, we actually have to sit down for a week and DM with this gun and just get used to it again, because I don't think it's any weaker. It's still untraceable through smoke, and that's the main power of the damn thing to begin with. You never knew where you were getting shot from.
This is the whole thing, right? So this update only came out this week. Players haven't had enough time to adjust to this weapon. They've come into a big tournament now. I think they feel more comfortable with the A4 right now going into this one. They know where they stand with that weapon. Learning a whole new setup with the M4A1S, I think that's the difference here. I think next tournament we'll see people working out and feeling it out a little bit more and getting comfortable.
I think players are going to go back as well. Like for example, it shocks me that someone like Happy even considers using the M4A4 because think about the classic Happy position, right? Is to play CT side Inferno and be in that B site and routinely go through those smokes. You're not going to do that with the M4A4. As soon as you start firing, they're going to know where you are, they're going to lock you down. He can't do the plays he does. So actually, even if he didn't turn out not to enjoy the gun as much, the technique's not as good, the advantages he gains for his style would be lost.
We've already seen examples of that already today. Just in the first match today, where it's just like, okay, you get the tendency of like spraying through monster smoke, spraying through short smoke. It's just like you can tell that they're used to doing that with the A1, and they're trying to do that with the A4, and then now they're just the guy zones in. He's like, oh, there you are, headshot, right?
As soon as you see like the smokes and flashes come over, that's the call out. Yeah. Okay, start spraying through the smoke, but then the trace is coming through, and you just see people get locked down straight away.
Old habits need to be changed if you're going to stick with the A4. Or what I think is going to happen is a lot of people are just going to migrate back to the A1 once they realize the silencer is just that good.
Just to bring this into the context of this semi-final, is there any way that because EnVyUs, who famously they sit down, they look at what's optimal, they abuse the new changes in the game, and that's one of their big strengths, always has been. That's the way Happy thinks about the game, obviously. Is there any chance that the fact they haven't had time to do that with this update could give Copenhagen Wolves this sort of extra little bit? You don't think so?
No. I don't think it's going to play that much of a factor. Like Copenhagen Wolves have to adjust as well. It's not like they've had more time on the update. It's both teams have to have a little bit of a weaker CT side, but the skill that EnVyUs are going to present to them, I don't think it's going to be a factor.
You already have Kiyoshima setting new metas. I love it, right? Just Kevlar Zeus on a pistol round. There you go, bro. Go sit up in apartments and just wait at the stairs. They come up the stairs, zap, like...
The thing is, though, that's not even just that initially seems like you're just doing that to BM the opponent, like to style on them.
No, it's a viable strat.
But considering it costs $100, it makes more sense if you're close range on an eco round to buy a Zeus actually than to buy a $700 Deagle that has a terrible kill.
Well, what are you gonna do? You're gonna spend it on a decoy? Okay, what are you gonna do with that decoy? It's $50 more, and you have the chance to one-shot your opponent up close. Of course it makes sense. You even had TSM going 2 guys, and I know Device tried to troll with it at the end there in the pistol round where he jumped around the corner trying to Zeus him. But I mean, if you're holding up close position, say in restroom, on overpass, for example, or in connector.
Long doors on dust too.
Or, exactly.
Behind the corner.
Okay, you come around that corner. Even flashed, if you get the timing right, boom, they're dead. You don't, like anywhere on the body.
Exactly.
It seems kind of silly to have that thing be that cheap.
I mean, do you think that's something we are going to see a lot more of?
Sure, why not? If you play close position, why not?
People are buying it right now. We haven't seen them use it too much. I think they're thinking if it does come down to it's a last resort sort of option right now. But on the eco rounds, especially when you can't justify buying the PT50, for example, you say, okay, I want to give myself some chance here at a very close angle. If that does produce a kill, you get an AK from it, that can be fantastic. So I think it's just a matter of time. The fact is now $100, it's definitely viable, and it's another one of those things we'll probably see develop, and I'm sure some players will make a big frag movie out of it soon. It'll be a really interesting play coming out of it, getting a Zeus kill, then picking up more
by the beard of Zeus, that's the title for it.
Yeah, and then we'll see more players trying to experiment with it.
Yeah. Just a quick few thoughts as well about EnVyUs and kind of the trajectory and where they are in their sort of team development. They came out like a freight train, and they went to IEM, they won it by beating, I think it was TSM 3 times times in a row with that system out there. And then on top of that, they then make it to the final of a major where, you know, they lose to Fnatic, but they lose to Fnatic, who had that miracle comeback on Dust 2, where, you know, EnVyUs were 15-10 up, and somehow Fnatic get it to overtime and then win 4-0 in overtime, demoralizes them on Cobblestone. Since then, you know, like, you go out in Dubai to NIP, you know,
I think that one stings more than the
I
final.
was just going to
the
say.
VP destruction.
So how do we, I mean, where do we think they are?
Well, it's, there was that element of surprise going into the major. That the whole roster, that whole roster play was literally made to beat Fnatic in the finals of that major. That was the whole game plan. Make it to the finals, beat Fnatic, and it's almost like, okay, we're not even focusing on what happens after that because we're going to have that element of surprise where we can actually take them on, right? And now it's coming down to, okay, well, honeymoon period is over. Now we got to start working. Now we got to figure out how it is. I feel like this version of EnVy is stronger than the last one though because the roles are more clearly defined. You have Apex, your entry fragger. You have Kenny S, your op. I mean, Happy, your lurker, right? NBK and Kyoshima, they work together to follow up on Apex. Whatever he does, bam, they're right behind to follow up. Like it's much clearer in my opinion as far as like what they need to do on the team.
I think if you look at the roster, like individual players, I think they're better and they have the potential to be better. But actually, in terms of how they fit together at the moment, the thing I'm still uncertain about is like what the actual map pool will end up shaking out as, because it was very defined before. We knew they were like amazing Dust 2, Cash, Inferno. We knew exactly where the strengths were. In the new map pool, I still feel like there's a bit of uncertainty. There's a couple of maps they're really strong on. There's some of those middle ones where I think they have to take a few brutal losses before they realize whether they want to play it or not. I mean, Cash is a great example. We were thinking for the old team, oh, obviously they're going to play Cash. Well, then VP comes along and just tears them up completely. Then you think of Dust 2, oh, that used to be their best map, right? They've been losing all over the place on Dust 2. So I think that's where it's still uncertain. It's like, as a team, what will the strengths of the team be? Because
do you feel like it comes back to this question, like, right, where I tweet about Na'Vi constantly forcing up and that impacting Guardian's play because they don't get him the op? Do you feel like that's something where Happy now has to kind of like roll that over in his head, say, well, maybe we shouldn't force bind the situation to get this guy the op?
The best thing that EnVyUs had going for them, they could use that abusive, non-stop force buy approach, because first of all, everyone was amazing with like CZ or
Tech9 or
250, whatever it's shocks. They were all amazing with that, and they were a really good 5 rifle team. They often ran 5 rifles actually. Whereas in this team, in theory, you don't really want Kenny S, especially not without even like a full rifle, like having the half rifles and stuff, FAMAS, something. You don't want to put Kenny S in that sort of situation. He's not so super sick with the pistols compared to some of these other players, so I think they did lose a bit there. The thing is, if they go to a little bit more of a standard buying approach, I do think the players can be stronger overall. Like, I think Apex is better than Smiths for start off, so they could be a stronger default team, that's why it might take Happy adjusting, because he's never led that sort of team in this era.
Because it is Kenny, really, because Apex is still versatile with the Tech9. He's actually really good with that gun.
We're going to introduce the players now, and we can talk more about their requisite skill sets and all that in a bit. We're now going to throw over to the stage as we get ready for the EnVyUs versus Copenhagen Wolves second semi-final at DreamHack London.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are we all doing in the audience? It's a nice bit of noise. Now, we've already seen the first semi-final. It was the Danish battle between Dignitas and TSM. TSM managed to come out on top. But now, it's time for the second and final semi-final. Who's ready? All right. Everybody, please welcome to the stage Team EnVyUs and Copenhagen Wolves. First up on Team EnVyUs, we have King Kyoshima. And next, a fan favorite, potentially the best AWPer in the world, Kenny S. And thirdly, the mastermind, Happy. One of the new bloods to the team, Apex, everybody. Amazing entry fragger. He's even got signs in the crowd. Amazing. Lastly, but not least, the natural born killer, Nathan NBK, everybody. And now, moving over to the Copenhagen Wolves. Up first, we have Zender. Show them some loves, everybody. Show them some loves. Show them some love. All right, up next, Rubino. What a beard. That's just a beautiful beard. And then the man that I interviewed yesterday, EIZO. Fourthly, we have the Twist, Mr. Twist. Round of applause for him. He has some fans in the crowd too. And then lastly, but not least, one more time, we have Jacob, potentially one of the hardest names to pronounce in Counter-Strike, depending on how you read it. Could I have one member of each team over here with me? Nathan, you love it, mate. I love you.
Yeah, thank you.
You've got to say I love you back.
I love you too, but you just took the mic away too fast.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
All right, EIZO, do you want to come back? All right. So, how are you feeling? Once again, the underdogs in this match. Yesterday, you did manage to overcome that against G2. So, how do you feel going into this?
I feel good. They're a good team, and we are here to show that we actually can beat them. I hope we can, and I think we will.
MBK, how are you feeling? You know, they are potentially here to upset you.
Sure, we had very good games the first day, and I do believe that if we continue playing like that forward into the tournament, we're going to take it to a...
Yeah, so many people did predict it would be yourselves and TSM in the final. Is that, you know, you're going to have to beat these guys, and then, and if that were to happen, would you feel comfortable playing them?
Well, first of all, there have been many upsets somehow in the tournament. They made it by beating Gamers 2 earlier in the tournament. So anything can happen, it's still Counter-Strike, but yeah, we're just looking for a final and facing TSM. And yeah, it's up to us to play our best and then face those guys.
All right, and EIZO, what about if you guys overcome the threat that is EnVyUs? Would you feel comfortable playing TSM?
Yeah, I think so. We didn't do that well yesterday, but I think we can do it this time.
All right, well, best of luck to both of you. If you could shake each other's hands. It's all good family fun here at DreamHack. All right, well, audience, if you could wish them all the best of luck. We are going to head into the final semi of the day. Thank you.
Well, there we are then. So, I mean, I think, to be fair, the Copenhagen Wolves players do look sort of a bit bewildered. I think the problem is like, not rabbit in the headlights, but they know they probably weren't meant to be here.
Richard, it is a new configuration that they've got going on here with the lineup, you know. So, listen, everyone's a little bit off. No one's quite sure who's in the team. Maybe themselves they feel that way, you know. Case of a confused identity for the team.
Yeah, it can happen.
Get it together.
Get it together, man. So Copenhagen Wolves, I mean, they sort of saying, look, you know, yeah, hey, we'd love to play TSM. I'm sure they absolutely would. But of course, they've got to focus very much on EnVyUs, and I don't know what they've got up their sleeve that can possibly counter what EnVyUs have.
We have got the map for them.
Oh, is it here?
Yes.
Okay, so it's in. So we have Mirage, Cobblestone, and Dust 2. Ouch.
So here's what's interesting, Richard, is that when you look at the best maps for Copenhagen Wolves, Mirage is far and away their best map.
Yeah.
That's the map they really want to play. And actually, up until recently, it wasn't really an EnVyUs map, even with this new lineup. But they played it here, and they have actually, they would be banning it in Cologne, but they've been playing it here, okay? And they were very dominant on it, actually, when they played Dignitas. So you can see why EnVyUs don't care. They're a team who doesn't respect the opponent in that sense in terms of vetoes, so they don't mind playing it. The problem is, beyond that, there's not many good maps for Copenhagen Wolves. One they had been playing a lot was Cash, but I told you recently, EnVyUs aren't really a fan of that. And in this system where you can ban two, I know for a fact it would have been Overpass and probably Cash that were the bans.
We're going to get into the veto in just a second, but we actually did one of our little interviews with EnVyUs to ask them their thoughts about playing Copenhagen Wolves in this semi-final at DreamHack London.
I should have told me we weren't doing the map.
The semi-final and the final. And if we want to win the event, we have to play our A game and give everything to win.
So there we have it then. So they're going to do everything to win. I don't know how much of the everything they will need
everything,
to
Richard.
do.
Cheating, possibly calling out mafia hits on the opponent.
There are no limits.
Bad sportsmanship.
No limits.
Praying to dark gods.
Yes, it sounds like nerd rage. So anyway, let's get into you know, the individual sort of maps and how we think this is going to pan out. We were talking about Mirage. You're right. You know, EnVyUs, maybe they're not incredibly known for Mirage, but recently they've been posting some good results on that particular landscape.
But I do think that's the chance for Copenhagen Wolves. That map's the chance.
We watched him play yesterday. Actually, quite a tactical team on that. We spoke about them with the new lineup. Maybe some maps haven't been completely polished yet, but that one was actually pretty impressive. They had a nice hybrid setup of working the picks, getting mid control, and then falling back with these really nice A executes as well. So they seem like their in-game leader, Zevis, has a great understanding of the map, and they can actually work it quite well. This is a map you'll see Rubino come to life, perhaps with the AWP on the CT side as well. So if they can get rolling on this, and their T side can stay as strong as it was yesterday against G2, maybe they have a chance. But the raw skill of EnVyUs is where they're going to get let down here. They have to win the aim duels here. It doesn't matter how good your tactics are. If you're not actually hitting the frag, you're getting out reacted. It's not going to count for much.
It's kind of the same situation that Dignitas were in versus TSM, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're starting off a best of 3 again, where we're saying that Mirage is the must-win map.
Yeah.
A very tactical map that comes down to you being able to have a battle plan, but also hit the headshots. It's 2 things. It's not like one or the other. You actually have to excel.
A bit of deja vu, you might say. But anyway, look, here's what we're going to do. We're also got a video for Copenhagen Wolves, and then we're going to talk a little bit about their prospects. We asked them how they felt they were going to do about EnVyUs. Let's see what they got to say.
They always shown our potential, so we have nothing to lose. Nej, jag chokar. Jag kommer inte ihåg vad jag ska säga efter det. They already proved that we're a really good team.
Well, you can see they've obviously not had a lot of practice doing these kind of interviews yet.
Insightful interview.
Yeah, it was just, we don't know what's going on.
I feel like that's the general vibe here, but also what we have to keep in mind here is that obviously this is a huge result for this team, already, far and above what they wanted.
Yeah.
But also what's important, and this is also the focus of the org, is that this is building confidence for next week at Stockholm for the qualifiers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just the fact that they managed to actually get some wins on the board here. It's a fresh team. Get some wins on the board, get some work done, and show that you can actually take them on. If you can get a few rounds versus Envy as well and get some information there,
exactly right.
Boom, going into the
could be worth
its
weight in gold, because if you make these maps competitive, you take the demos away, and all of a sudden you're playing really well out in Stockholm because you can use those tactics to your advantage.
It's tough for a team like this though, because you're going into this and they have to be saying like, well, there's 99% chance that we lose this, but we're going to try and make this still like a valuable experience.
Just while we got the veto up on screen, I'll ask you gentlemen if there was anything sort of outstanding about that. I mean, personally, just gut feeling for me, I think this is a series that really plays to EnVyUs, because, sure, Copenhagen Wolves can maybe give them a game on Mirage, but I think Cobblestone, EnVyUs, we know they can play on that, and then Dust 2, I mean, it's always been classically sort of a French map in that sense. I think this is a series that I don't really see a lot of opportunities for Copenhagen Wolves to post some serious numbers.
I think you're absolutely right there. I think the key point here is they get some decent experience and they can make it competitive and at least get to the same sort of level. They're not getting destroyed. It's not like a 16-2. I think that'll be absolutely fantastic for them. Like EnVyUs, just the way they're playing this tournament, the form they're in, I just don't see them breaking down on any of these maps.
I mean, you have to remember when we're looking at this, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4. It's pick for the first one each, then it's ban for the second two. But the other way around, ban for 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4 are the picks. So the key thing to note here is the first ban from Copenhagen Wolves is Inferno. The 2 best EnVyUs maps is Cobblestone and Inferno. So you're picking of those, which don't we want to play? You don't want to play Inferno. So EnVyUs obviously is going to pick Cobblestone there. That's far away a decided option anyway.
Well, we saw Copenhagen Wolves on Cobblestone, so it kind of makes sense. We know they can play on that map. So.
But the EnVyUs banning Overpass is no surprise at all. That's literally the map they banned every opportunity they had in ESL 1 Club. They just decided they're not playing that map whatsoever. So, I mean, it's not like Copenhagen Wolves is some super threat on that map. They're just not playing it anyway. And like I said, this is one where there's not too many even areas you could have gone in different directions. I think it's pretty set because Copenhagen Wolves doesn't have the biggest map pool. So EnVyUs has got pretty much what they want here. Now, what will be interesting is if we do go to that third map, Dust 2. I mentioned before, historically, it used to be a great EnVyUs map. With the new lineup, they've actually lost a bunch. You have to point out, though, the context of the losses. The teams they've lost to is Fnatic, NIP, and TSM, right? TSM's the best team in the world on that map. That barely counts as a loss. Fnatic's very good on it, and that was pretty much as close to a win as you can get in a loss. So that's a pretty good loss. And then the NIP one, NIP was on fire on Dust 2 in that tournament. So I don't think that's a bit of a deceptive losing record.
And even that was still like, what, 16-13? So, I mean, it was still close.
So, yeah, I think that's... Don't make that make you think, oh, well, if it gets to the third map, Copenhagen Wolves have a chance there. Probably not. It's basically they must win Mirage. If they don't win Mirage, I think it's over. I actually think this is another scenario where EnVyUs can win all 3.
Yeah,
So that's
and
2-0, I think.
just before we do get into the knife round going live, I am monitoring that situation. I don't feel like we've talked enough maybe about some of the elements that are going on for Copenhagen Wolves. So I do quickly want to highlight this Twist factor. He was another one of these Swedes that was out in the wilderness. Yeah. Another player we have a lot of respect for. We know he could have been part of bigger organizations, but it's almost like his laissez-faire attitude to the game kind of held him back a little bit.
Join EnVyUs.
I know, he'd fit right in, right? So you got Twist, who, like I said, I thought he really grew into the tournament, and I thought he was immense for them in the game to even get them here in the first place. Now, if he puts in a big performance against here, I mean, is that possible? Can he go toe-to-toe skill-wise with the likes of EnVyUs?
On maps like Cobblestone, that's when they were actually allowing him to get a lot of breathing room and actually work the AK picks there. They were quite loose on that map, so they're actually forcing the issue, going very fast into B bomb site. I think those are the kind of tactics that's going to allow them to win some rounds here. They were surprising CT setups, getting in their big aimers in like Twist, and allowing him some space to have those AK one-on-one duels. So those are the kind of things I'd like to see them do. Keep it nice and loose, fast pace, and try and take the number advantage onto bomb sites. If they take it quite slow and trying to dissect the bomb sites in that sort of manner, I think they're going to get pulled apart by the EnVyUs setups. But it'll be interesting to see what Twist can do. Obviously, this is a lot higher pressure than it was yesterday. I think going up against EnVyUs is always going to be a lot scarier prospect than the likes of SK, for example. So this is it. This is where
I think the big problem for me, is that it doesn't really matter if Twist himself can go toe-to-toe. Even if he plays really well and as well as they do, the overall team of EnVyUs, you have to emphasize this. Every single player on EnVyUs right now has at one point in time been a star player and one of the world's best players. Not the best player on their team, one of the world's best players. So every single player, in theory, could play at a very high level.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Go ahead, Thorin.
Nice sign, guys.
No, but you're right. That's the thing. Again, but that's at the top tier, right? Fnatic, same story. EnVyUs, same story. TSM.
But I mean, it's even more exaggerated here because every player's been a star. It's not even like they're just a star within their role. Every player at one point has been top 10 in the world. So when you have all those players in a team, I mean, you only need 2 of them to turn up, and you can already have a devastating effect on the match.
So, Semler, the question I did want to ask you before Duncan's observations was, do you know enough about Twist's personality to know if he's the kind of guy who will sort of relish this kind of challenge? Because some people, as we've seen already in this tournament and throughout Counter-Strike's history, some people shy away from that. Like when it's time to step up and, match the big boys, some people go missing. Is Twist the kind of guy that's going to be able to sort of internalize, okay, I need to do this and I'm looking forward to it?
I think so. Because he has a history of like what we were talking about earlier, right? Where he only used to want to play with his friends, and he was just interested in playing for fun. He was offered a job by NIP, come actually here and replace McLaren, and he turned it down. But he's like, no, actually, no, I don't want to play with that team. I want to play with this team instead, right? Even if this team, I'm probably not going to get a salary, and this team, we're just going to mess around and never really achieve anything. For him, he's having fun, right? And so I think it's the same kind of situation. What more could you ask for as far as a challenge is concerned than facing off against Envy, who are a top 3 team in the world? Like that's I think that's going to get him fired up. It's just the rest of his team. It's kind of like Shox and Titan. It's like Shox is going to do huge work for Titan, but then he needs somebody to have his back. Twist, who do we have that can really step up and kind of measure up to what Twist can
Let's pick someone then, because I think the guy who has to at least try is got to be probably Rubinho.
Yeah, it has
he's
to be.
He's the guy who, if he's not going to do it, then even an exceptional Twist performance, which isn't guaranteed, won't be enough. Now maybe once other people start getting in the mix, maybe they can approach that level, but of all the teams to ask you to go against in this particular sense, this might be one of the hardest. Because not only that, like I said, there's still such an unknown factor, EnVyUs. You still don't even know which players are going to be the stars in the game. You don't even know what way they're going to take you on, Okay,
well, we've had the knife round. Good news for Copenhagen Wolves is they've won that. They are going to start CT on Mirage, so gives them perhaps a foothold in the game nice and early. Guys, I just want to quickly get some very quick predictions. We need to get into the game.
Yeah. I'm still thinking 16-3? 16-3 for
even with the T start.
Yeah, I think Apex is just going to run all over them. T-side start for Apex.
I think after seeing that sign, we'll maybe not so much.
I'm just going to predict this map for now. I guess I think it's a little closer than that. I think they'll go to double figures. I think 16-10 considering the CT start.
Okay.
I'm going to say 16-5. I think this will be a bloodbath.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot for your thoughts, gentlemen. We're going to get into the game right now. We are going to bring you Anders and Sadakis, bringing you the second semi-final of DreamHack London, EnVyUs versus Copenhagen Wolves on Mirage. Take it away, boys.